The inflation numbers are out. So I'm going to go over that and something I'm concerned about. First up, what did I say? On Saturday, I had my forecast and I said 2.4%. And I'm kicking myself. RBC said 2.6%. I originally had 2.3%. But I doubted myself. So I adjusted the numbers. I increased the inflation a little bit. I got 2.4. I just couldn't see 2.6 happening. I should not have changed my numbers. I should have stuck to my formula because inflation was indeed 2.3%. On Saturday, I said the reason was going to be gasoline prices. The official report says the year-over-year slowdown in all item CPI was driven by lower prices for travel tours and gasoline in March. Gasoline was 154.8 compared to 157.3 last year. For 28 months in a row, mortgage interest cost is the number one upward driver of inflation, followed by rent, and there's passenger car insurance. I keep pointing this out because as the interest rate falls, that's going to fall off the top of the list. Mortgage interest costs used to be half of our inflation. Now it's down to, 0.3 of our inflation. Without mortgage interest cost, the inflation for March would be 2%. And then keep in mind the consumer carbon tax is still in place for March, which is 0.6 of the inflation. That's not going to be there next month. On top of that, the price of oil and gasoline has crashed in April. Yeah, so right now, April inflation is looking like it's going to be 1 point lower than March inflation. And tomorrow is the next rate announcement. Now, most bets are that the Bank of Canada is going to hold the rate steady. I disagree. I think we're going to get another quarter point cut. Why a quarter point? Well, all the things I just mentioned. I think half a point is too much. We're not in that crisis yet, but the trade war is still going on, and the damage caused last week is still in place. So down the road, at the next announcement, maybe they'll hold, but for tomorrow, they're going to cut. And as I like to remind people, we are an oil-producing nation, and things don't look good for oil right now. And now, something troubling from the United States. And everyone needs to pay attention to this. It doesn't matter which team you're rooting for. You may have heard this name many times. Kilmar Amerigo Garcia. He was sent back to El Salvador, allegedly for being illegally in the United States and for being a terrorist. That's what Trump loyalist Kristi Noem has said. She put that on the Homeland Security website. The only problem is there's no evidence to back that up. It's just statements. It's just bullshit. Now I want to be clear. Maybe it's true. But you have to bring that evidence, at least something, to the Supreme Court, which they did not do. And now the Supreme Court has said that he has to be returned to the United States by April 7th, which was a week ago. The president of El Salvador says, how can I return a terrorist to the United States? I can't just do that, even though he totally could just do that. I'm sure opinions vary, but at the end of the day, the Supreme Court of the United States says, bring him back. And the Supreme Court is there to make sure that everyone follows the laws, even the politicians. Why do I bring it up? Because we have an election coming, and a particular party is saying that they are not going to bring Trump-like stuff to Canada, except they're totally going to bring Trump-like stuff to Canada. You may agree with what's being proposed here, but let me point something out, that it's really irrelevant. All this does is delay parole hearings. You can just change the criteria for the parole. Bypassing the Supreme Court is problematic because, again, the Supreme Court is there to make sure everyone follows the law. And in the U.S., the politicians don't care anymore. And these guys want to bring it here. Remember, this isn't a sport. They are not your team. And it won't take much for you, despite who you support, to end up on the wrong side of them. And if they don't need to follow the laws, then why do any of us need to follow the laws?